doing it. I'm Dave Cutcliffe. I'm the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at the University of Tennessee. What I would like to do, unless, and I mean it sincerely, unless some of you have a problem, I know that there are topics are written down there in very specific terms, and I will cover those topics. But I think there's some things that, and to be honest with you, Bill put those topics down there, how to fix them. There's some things that I think I'd like to share with coaches that are important to me, and important enough to me that I think they're important enough from a football standpoint to share with other people. I want to tell you a little bit about my background, not trying to be impressive. I'm sincerely just trying to tell you how fortunate I've been. To start out, I'm from the state of Alabama, which was really great high school football. I played for a phenomenal high school coach that went with 6 of us from there to the University of Alabama. Back in 1967, we were running the Beer offense, and he had gone and visited Billy Owens, and that was my upbringing as a high school player with the Beer. We went to Alabama, and it was Wishbone, but my high school coach was a tremendous football coach in every aspect. Went down and had the opportunity to be for 5 years around Coach Bryant. These are some of the things I'm going to share with you, some of these people that police and joining coach and running the football program. And we were in Tennessee working with Johnny Majors and now, of course, Philip Fulmer, and numerous assistant coaches that have been a great influence on me and our philosophy for Tennessee and my personal philosophy. But does that bother any of you guys? I want to kind of get into what I want to do is talk about offensive football. Y'all obviously interested in quarterbacks and offensive football. And I want to just tell you what our offensive football philosophy is at the University of Tennessee, what it's based on, what I call the underpinnings and the foundation. I've been in Tennessee now 13 years, and this offense that we're running is a culmination of a lot of people and a lot of good minds from all regions of the country, to outstanding coaches that have been with us from the state of California, Al Saunders, who's currently with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Walt Harris, who is currently with the New York Jets. And we've had numerous people there that have contributed. This thing has grown and blossomed, and not just what it is, but how we do it. And I'm not going to try to come across as being braggadocious or whatever. I'm going to try to give you the real meat and potatoes of what we believe in. And I'm going to try to expand on a lot of these things on this paper. I don't know, how many of you know anything that's seen us much offensively? Seen us very often. I know we got a time change, so sometimes it's hard to see. But it's real interesting that, and y'all see that decently when we get to know before. It's real interesting. You guys, come on in if you'd like. It's real interesting the amount of time that I've spent for the last 19 years talking with coaches about philosophy and what we can do to be better. And discipline is a big word that everybody uses. You all use it with your team. And, you know, I didn't understand it, particularly as a young coach, really what discipline was. And as a staff, how important it is. And how do you teach discipline? What do you do? And the consistency it takes as a person. And like I said, I'm not going to try to be on a high horse, but I'm going to tell you firmly how strongly I believe in what I'm telling you and what I'm saying. Perfect plays. Okay, what perfect plays is, and I probably should take the time to even draw how we set it up. But we take, I'm going to do that. Okay, we take 2 offensive teams, and we'll have our second group be standing back here behind the huddle. I'm not going to just get into every player. We'll have the ball on the 10-yard line. We're going to have cones about on each hash mark. All right? We're going to have a set of cones about where the numbers are. And we're going to have a set of cones 10 yards back, and it's about back on the hash marks. And when you say perfect plays to Tennessee football players, you know that Pavlov's dog theory, you know, with the dog when you ring the bell. When you say that, you see tears in their eyes because they know what they're getting ready to go through. It's serious business. And what that means, it means perfect. And we'll have people not involved. We have a room. We're over here. They're running sprints, and we got a graduate assistant or somebody over here watching this group. We'll have a coach watching the finish. We're going to have a coach watching the line of scrimmage. We'll have a coach watching the huddle. We'll have a coach back here watching the splits, and I'm going to just stand back and just kind of view the whole thing. And I'm going to hear the quarterback. I'm going to see the huddle. I'm going to see their eyes. I'm going to see his eyes. We're going to see how they break the huddle. We're going to see how we line up. We're going to see how everybody gets off. We're going to see the quarterback and center exchange, the running back exchange to the pass, or whatever it may be. They are going to sprint through the line. And once they sprint through the line, that doesn't mean to the line, it means through the line. They're going to come back around this cone. They're going to come outside of that cone. They're going to come outside of that cone, and ones are going to be back here, and twos will already be in the hole running the play. And so what happens is it never stops. Never stops. And that's perfect plays to us. And we don't use them. That's not something that you can just sit there and say, I'm going to do perfect plays every day. Not if you mean what you say. I mean, we have a saying, say what you mean what you say as a coach. Otherwise, you lose credibility. But we do perfect plays when we're not pleased with what practice went like. We're not pleased in the spring the way the scrimmage went. We're not pleased in early fall camp with the practice session or where we're going to or what's going on. And guys, that is discipline. That brings out the best. And it's not, you know, what's funny, we're doing the same thing in all-season conditioning. We're not even 6 o'clock in the morning. You can't do perfect plays because it's football later. But it's the same type of thing. Every coach has to be the same. You can't have one coach let a guy line up, if an offensive lineman lines up too far on the line of scrimmage, and the guy that's watching the line of scrimmage lets that go. Well, we've all lost credibility because that player does not believe now that we mean what we say. And there's ways to measure this, and I'll get into that later on. Tempo and demands. I'm talking about demands. It takes everybody on your staff. The head coach is right on through being the same every day. And when I mean tempo, is that our tempo is that when we're running team periods, when we're running drills, when we're running pass skeletons, everything's going to be done on a tempo. We're going to get as many plays run, because I'm a firm believer in repetition. And the only way to get quality repetition is to keep and teach them what a tempo is. And we don't coach standing around and walking around and standing still. Come on in and have a sit. How you doing? We use the term coach on the move. We don't want to coach walking a player back or holding up a drill. Things are going fast. And we're getting repetitions. And those ones and twos are getting in and out of the huddle. And what we're going to do is we're going to run 16 plays in 10 minutes a team. And I mean, there's 16 all-out plays. It's rolling. And so we're getting a lot of quality. And we go ones and then the twos go. The scout team is worn down, but that's something else you got to coach and demand. Be consistent. I've already mentioned that a number of times. That's easy to say. And we've sat down and just like this. Looks like I'm talking in here. We'll sit down as a staff. I couldn't bring it. I got a big old black book. We go through everything we believe in. Talk about it as a coaching staff. What we're teaching, not fundamentals and techniques every time. We can't do everything, talk everything. But when it comes down to believing what we think it takes to win, we're going to cover that as a staff. We got a new guy that comes in and joins our staff. We're going to be consistent. There's not going to be a weak link. And if you truthfully ask yourself this, you know on any any staff you've been on, usually there's a guy that's a way out. One coach that's a player, you know, he may be too soft or, you know, wants players to like him too much, and those players are filtered in that direction. So you got to be consistent, and it's got to be something that's talked about and dealt with. Ball security. And I'm starting where we start. That's the next conversation we have. For the last 5 years, we've led the Southeastern Conference in turnover ratio. For the last 5 years, we've been in the top 5 in the United States in turnover ratio. There's got to be a reason why. And it's because it's taught. It's talked about. And that is the term that is used. We don't say, don't fumble. We don't say, don't throw an interception. We don't say, well, you asshole, I can't believe you threw that damn ball. I'm not going to coach that way. It's turned into a positive thing, and it's a discipline thing, but it's ball security. We teach everybody on the team how to carry a football. I'll show you real quickly what we teach. And I'm going to tell you guys, I see enough film across this country that I think 80% of the people in the country aren't teaching their kids well enough how to hold the football. Because we got hard heads, as much time we spend on it, they won't do it. But you got to teach everyone. An offensive lineman, they pick up a ball. If he picks up a ball that's nasty and he fumbles it, one time to the opponent, that's one time too many, and you got to believe that way. One time is one time too many. I'm going to put my 2 fingers right there, my like the claw. Some people hold it right on the point. I don't want a finger on the point, just right there. Just claw the ball. I'm going to get that point of pressure. I'm going to get a point of pressure on the back side of my arm. I'm going to get a point of pressure on my rib cage and about a quarter of the way up the ball, another point of pressure. That's 4 points right there. And the 5th one being that hand. That's what I think 2 hands on the ball is. I don't like to see that. That's not 2 hands on the football. That ball will move and come out. That ball right there will not move and come out when they're running in traffic. But everybody on the team, the offensive line coach has a drill that they run, and I'm going to show you a good drill with this in just a minute. Everybody on the team does this drill. And we do it in what we call the winning edge. We teach everybody at one time, and everybody goes and does the drill. To teach them all how to hold the football. I talked about the positive approach. To me, particularly dealing with a quarterback, it's all a positive thing because I teach him how to be secure with the football. Everything we do starts off with how we're going to secure the ball. From the center exchange, to standing in the pocket, to handing the ball off, to making a decision downfield and throwing the football. The first thing we're going to do is talk about this is how we're going to secure the ball because this guy's the interceptor. This is the one we've got to be concerned with. If we'll know where he is on the play, and we know where that potential interceptor is, and we're going to try not to throw any interception. We threw too many this year. We threw 8, and it was frustrating because the year before, as a sophomore, the guy throws 4. And really, the problem I had was he didn't listen enough. I wasn't a good enough coach because he got to thinking he knew more than what he should have done. Played the same way he played as a sophomore, and he's been smart. But he got to thinking he knew a little bit more, as a lot of older guys will. And I've had that trouble, and I've got to do a better job. But let me show you simple drills we do. We got blasters and all those kind of things, but we have everybody on the team do this. And as a coach, I hand them the ball. We line the players up where their X's and do just a little what we call a back gauntlet. And we hand the football off going one way. So they've got to tug it in their right arm going through here. And we're running with the football with good body lean, explode in, and those guys are pulling the ball. We don't want any just laying hands on. They're pulling at the ball. We even check their fingernails to make sure we're not going to get anybody clawed. Because they're going to pull at the ball. And those linemen, everybody, you got to explode in. And we have a cone, have a bag at the end, and the manager just moves the bag. He moves the bag this way, you just break it, go the other way. I don't think the lineman uses the bag, but every other skill position does that. Then we have a cone at the end of every drill to sprint through. Sprint through the cone. Then we come back the other way, everybody's gone through, rotated through, we run through with our left arm on the ball. All right? One of the best ones I have, Coach, I'm going to get you to help me. I'm not going to carry the clothes up or anything. Just tuck the ball right there. We're going to grab a hold of a jersey, and we're going to hold it pretty tight. And everybody does this, and I'm going to tell him to go, and he's going to start running. We've got a 10-yard cone after he's trying to get to. And the whole time time he's running, you just move forward. They're pulling, making him run with body length, and they're going like they're trying to get that ball out, trying to turn his shoulder, and the guys are digging it. And what that pull on that jersey does is they teach you to run with body length. You're having to move your arms. You can't swing, or that ball's going to come out. You're having to move your arms and keep it tucked, and that ball getting come from behind. It's just a strip drill, we call it. And it's a really good drill. And what you'll have is a coaching point. Don't let any buddies be buddies. You don't want this not pulling and the guy just going through it again, slapping at the ball. You got to coach the person being the defender as well as you have to coach the person carrying the football. I think that's one of the most important things in offensive football, whether it's teamwork, whether it's drill work. Coach the defender first. Identify to him what you want done. But that strip drill, that's something we do. And like I said, it's working. I know it's working. See what else you got right there? Ball roll. We don't do the line with this, and we don't do this as much. But that's just, everybody knows what monkey rolls are? That's just monkey rolls with a football. And I'm going to tell you something. If you hadn't done it, you watch the ball come flying out of there. Be ready to stop it with your whistle because you have somebody turn an ankle on the ball. Some of those guys, and you may have some particularly, you get some young guys, some of them can't roll with the ball in their arm. They get stuck, you know, just can't go. But they'll learn to do that, and you have to keep your elbow in or the ball will come out. So we do those monkey rolls, and we do that with receivers and running backs. I do not do that with the quarterback. I'm going to be honest with you. And then, and I've got a lot more on this. I wrote down there, typed down there, training the quarterback. I'll tell you what. That is what we'll get into in detail later on, how we approach that. That's critical. That guy will turn the ball over more than anybody else if you don't train him the hardest. He's got more opportunities in the pocket, center quarterback exchange to a back, throw for an interception, get in the pocket, the ball coming out. It's amazing how many opportunities. And you have got to work hard and train your quarterback to secure the football. And we'll get into that. I got some great drills. And then the other part of it, to be honest with you, is just being a stickler for teaching him everything you want to teach and demanding what you're going to get from him. And I'll get into that in detail later on. Okay, and I'm going right through what we talked to our squad about, what we think makes a difference in winning and losing, and what we talk about as a staff. Everybody thinks that Tennessee is a finesse football team. We have some finesse. But in the first meeting, when we go back this spring, we're going to talk about physical toughness the first day of the meeting. And they're going to hear it from me, the quarterback coach, because they think, you know, normally that's assault. And we're going to demand that we're going to be physical, and we're going to practice physical. We're going to reward being physical. Everybody on the staff, again, is preaching it. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's not lip service, it's beliefs. It's beliefs. That's what demands mean. And I'm telling you, I go back to Coach Brown. That's the first guy. My high school coach was tough because he was all crazy. First drill I ever did, I don't y'all, you tell me if anybody's ever done this. First drill we ever did in high school, and I was in 9th grade. I'll never forget this. I wouldn't ever do this, wouldn't recommend it. Mine was a little bit crazy. We had to stand there and put our hands behind our back, and the guy stood 10 yards away from me. And he got a running start. And maybe put your head down where you wouldn't get your chin left. And that guy went right dead into you and tackled you as hard as he could with your hand locked behind your back. If you flinched, separated, or moved your hand or anything, maybe you go again. If you didn't hit the guy hard enough, then they were going to be all over you. And I remember standing there that time and just looking at that guy across me and wondering, you know, he's going to be one of them that just knocked my ass off, and he was. he knocked my ass off. And that took some mental toughness, I guess. But I think Coach Bryant was the greatest at demanding demanding that people will be physical football players, regardless of skill level. And those demands were the same for the fifth teamer, fourth teamer, first teamer. His thing was everybody in the program was going to be tough. You weren't going to have a guy that wasn't a tough guy be part of it. We reward it. We make a big issue after the game on tape of big-time blocks, dominating pancake blocks, receivers, big-time cuts, cracks, or anything happening there. We're going to reward that. We're going to recognize them in front of the squad, stand them up, put it on tape, make a big deal out of it. That kind of intimidation is a positive thing from my standpoint, not the verbal, not the pointing the finger. When you do it that way, you don't have to have the finger pointing. Mental toughness, smart players, assignments. Tell you what, I really couldn't believe this. If on every play, if you come off football and you put your hat in the right spot, on the right man, on every single play, you're going to be successful on offense, regardless of ability level. That guy may whip me, but if I've gotten to that point so correctly, we're going to have something positive happen. It's not going to be a negative. And I'll tell you what, our tape, when we look at it tonight, you'll see mistakes. I'm not proud of it, none of us are, but we try. We do a lot of things. But I really believe that if we would back off some, and we're probably going to, and just get it right every time, it'd be phenomenal what you could accomplish. And that's got to be something that can't be lip service. That has to be taught. It has to be, you know, I've heard excuses, well, I don't have the time. Well, you got to do, you teach what you can teach them. And you put yourself and put those kids in a situation with a chance to win. You don't have to do a ton of things. Pressure from the staff. Smart players, winning edge. Let me tell you what winning edge is. Every day we practice. Every day we practice. We go on the practice field. We pick a time, and maybe after a specialty or sometime in there, they'll hear, also they hear winning edge. Well, they're going to go right to a spot on the practice field, take their hats off, everybody's going to be on the knee behind the line, the same spot every time, and they're going to be all eyes. We want their hats off, eyes on, and we will cover something that is a mental winning edge. I mentioned a minute ago, it may be how to hold the football for everybody on the team. It may be a 2-minute drill procedure. It may be a rule. What stops the clock? When does the clock restart? It may be a special situation rule. It may be covering an interception or a number of different things that are mental winning edges. We've got a list of about 60 of them that we try to cover. Be set with motion. Just constant little things planted in their head that try to make them smarter football players. Understand the rules, understand the strategy of the game, understand situation football. You know, goal line offense is a winning edge. Really understand what we're trying to do. So we do that every time we're on the practice field. Checklist. Every coach on the offensive staff has a positional checklist. What that positional checklist is, it's a reminder of what to cover in practice. Mistakes that have been made. Boy, we didn't cover this, so we got into the first game and weren't prepared for this. But it goes in the checklist. So now you've covered it. And you stay with your checklist and you read your checklist positionally. I have a checklist that is every month for the total offense. Spring practice checklist, the January checklist, what we want to be getting accomplished, the February checklist, March, April, May, right on through. And those checklists are my salvation because I'm just not smart enough to remember all of them. My checklist for the quarterback has got, this quarterback checks about 160 items on it. So I have to reread that and read it all the time. And they're great reminders for me to cover this, to cover that. Sit down and take the time to make you a checklist and call it that. And put it on paper. And have it in a notebook. And have it for every position on your offense. Now we all know what we're teaching. And we're covering all the bases. And we're teaching the same way at the same time. And you got a chance of having smart football players. You've all seen those teams that line up good, that make smart plays, that don't make a lot of dumb errors. Smart football teams. They understand. They've been taught. And again, I hope I'm not boring you guys with some of this talk. You think, well, I know that. I know. Guys believe in these things. This is what I'm giving you, what has made a difference, not the X's and O's. This has made the difference in what we've done and what the teams I've been around have done. Work ethic, effort, and tempo. Actually, effort is the first thing we say to our players. Effort. And I'm going to tell you something, that's an all-the-time thing. You guys in California can't have off-season conditioning and agility running programs, right? Well, that's where ours starts. And I'm going to tell you, I got one, I get back from here at midnight Sunday night, and we got a 6 a.m. running Monday morning. It's a get with it, get after it time, where I talk about young players learning what it means to run through line, to bust your tail regardless of ability of others. That is something that I hear people talk about, and I see it in our league and in other leagues, people we play, and those players aren't selling out. They're really not busting their tail. And I'm amazed at how many times I go to games on the road recruiting and I see kids that aren't playing hard. When you see a kid that's playing hard in Valdosta High School, y'all all heard of Valdosta in South Georgia. I guess it's right now the winningest high school program in the history of the United States. You know, they have signs, since I've been at Tennessee, they may have had 15 to 20 players signed Division I in 13 years. For a great program, that sounds like a lot, but that ain't really very many. They win on effort. That guy's amazing if you ever have a chance to hear him talk. Nick Hyder's the coach there. But it's effort, great effort. We grade effort on every play. We grade effort. We grade technique, which includes assignment and steps and just technique. And we grade effort. And that effort grade, they better understand better be 100%. When it's not, we punish that. Yes.
How do you grade the effort? How do you judge 100%?
Well, that again goes back to the staff, understanding what effort is. Our effort, for example, if a guy is not down, stays on the ground, that's a minus in effort. If he's not busting his ass to the end of the play, now what you get into, you get into coach's personalities. You get a coach on the staff that says, he busted his ass. Well, either me as an offensive coordinator or Phil Coleman, the head coach, if we say, no, he didn't bust his ass, then he didn't bust his ass. And that's what we got to, that sounds kind of nasty, but that's just the way it is. And we get everybody playing hard, and I'll tell you what we do. We really make a big deal out of it right now. It's going on. If we got one guy, in that whole group, we got about 100 players going through all the season. We got one guy that busts his ass through the line. Every one of them is going to go in the whole squad. And they get on his ass. So after a while, you don't have to worry much about it because they'll do it for you. They'll see it. And then it carries on. And then in spring practice, if we grade effort, and we got people with some minuses in effort, we're going to do perfect plays. That's when you can see perfect plays. And we come out there, and I come out and probably tell them in a meeting right then, I'm going to say, fellas, we've got 4 people that didn't grade 100% effort in the last scrimmage. We tell them who they are, and we tell them we're going to do perfect plays today. Those are before the most unpleasant people you've ever seen in your life. All of a sudden, this big old 320-pound offensive lineman that did bust his ass, he's over looking at this guy. I mean, it's a bunch of peer pressure. And see, it's an issue with us. I mentioned tempo and drills, tempo and team. Walt Harris was the first person that really coined this phrase in minutes. Make practice like a game. He was relentless about that. He had a great intensity level in himself. And our practices are not real long. because we want their attention and we want tempo. We don't want it to drag, and it's going to be like a game, and I think that's something that you got to believe in and do. And again, guys, I'm not preaching. I'm giving you the best of what we do, and I'm sharing that with you, and that's why I'm going through this. This is the best of what we do. Right there. They practice like a game. Now I'm going to get into some of the football. I don't think any of this other stuff worth a darn without what I said there. First thing you have to say about us as an offensive philosophy is to spread the field. To spread the field and use the field. Utilize all areas of the field. We really pay attention to where the ball goes. We have all these names for areas of the field, and I'm not going to get into the computer. But we enter into the computer where the computer will tell us where the ball is going. Thrown, run, everything. And we're real conscious of making people defend the field. I don't know what it says up there next. Force the defense to defend the entire field. Well, that's what we intend to do. And it's paid dividends for us. People we play are so good, so physical. We can't utilize all that grass. If we play from a hash over or between the hashes, or we can't win those battles. I don't know about you guys. I mean, if you're in a dominant situation and you can, probably don't have to worry about it. Use formations and personnel to create an advantage. Okay, to create an advantage. What we're looking for is to either outnumber the defense. When I say outnumber, sometimes that means just equal. Those defenses are so good that we can force the gap short in our run game. A wide out versus a linebacker. Or we soften support. Now I'm going to take the time to draw what I mean by that. We get into, I am going to do, I don't know what that says, play action, ball handling, and all that. But is this all right with you guys, the direction we're going? Everybody satisfied? All right. I'm going to give you the first. First thing we're going to do, regardless of anything else, is have 3 wide receivers in there. Now your hashes are different than our hashes and whatever, but I can give you your hashes what our splits would be. You prefer it that way, wouldn't you? Base. Our splits would be, this guy's 2 yards inside the hash, he's 4 yards outside the hash. It's 6 yards difference. And that's your hash. 6 yards difference. This guy right here, the ball on the hash is going to take a maximum split 6 yards from the sideline. Okay. We can't get any wider than this up here because our quarterbacks are not going to utilize that much area of the field very often. We had one that could. This year we were wider on some things we did. So what we're trying to do, and giving you the idea, is say we're playing a 4-3 football team. This is front, everybody plays. Our defense is base front. Okay. They're a 4-3 team. Everybody runs this little reduction thing and shades off of it and gets to a stack. Well, now we've taken that stack and you got a dilemma. We've spread the field. We're obviously going to make you play the corner there and the safety somewhere in that vicinity, regardless of whether it rolls up or not. You got a corner here. If you put strong safety here and take this sandbacker and go ahead and put him in there, we are going to attack you throwing the football. And we gain a definite advantage. If that's what you choose to do right there, and we can get 2-on-2 out there, then we gain a definite advantage. I mean, that's something we're going to, that's when I talk about even numbers. If we ever get even numbers with receivers, and we're going to throw the football in very simple forms and fashion. So the basic ways later. So what we force everybody we play to do is to remove a guy. Because they won't let us do that. So now what we've done, regardless of how we get the rest of the formation, if we want to go in the I formation, we run all day long. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. You've got 6 guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this guy right here having to play cutback. And we've got him removed. We got your cutback player removed. And we're going to be able to hit form, tack, or read through a cutback on I, which is what the I formation is all about. If we remove your cutback player, you have no chance of stopping the sprint draw. We'll run sprint draw either way and force the cutback either way. So that's one of the examples of what we're looking for. Or we put a receiver in here, and now I have a wide receiver, and this is usually a high quality guy going, and he's matched up against his linebacker and underneath coverage. Or I put a receiver in here and put a back out here to do that. A number of different ways through personnel. That's an example, and I'm going to get into details later, but that's an example of why. I want you to understand what we're doing, and I'll get into it later on. I'm going to read this. This is real interesting. Balance. I burn a plugs out. And unplug them, didn't we? Right? Therefore, you kind of heard me say we're looking to pass, looking to run. We let the defense dictate to us. So what we really try to do at Tennessee, we really and truly try to become balanced, run and pass. That doesn't always mean the numbers are even. That always is dictated, and I'm going to give you an example. And we'll go back a few years to do it. In 1989, you guys don't know our people in our personnel, but what we had were we had 2 first-round draft choices at offensive tackle. We had pro players, 2 of them that are playing pro ball right now, playing at center and 1 at guard. We had 2 running backs that were pro football players. And we had a sophomore quarterback. So in 89, our balance was to go 252 yards rushing with 162 yards passing. Okay? We had some young receivers there that were really good. But in 1990, we lost the running backs. But we had a junior quarterback, Alvin Parker, who played for the Dallas Cowboys, Anthony Morgan played for the Chicago Bears. Some guys were coming on at receiver. So it went to balance. You see 205 yards rushing, 211 yards passing. 91, we lost a lot of the linemen. We had a senior quarterback, no receivers were seniors. We get 209 yards rushing, 257 yards passing. In 92, that senior quarterback leaves, we got a sophomore quarterback, Schuler. We run for 211 yards and pass for 177. I hadn't added the 93, but what the 93 was, we get to what we want to be. We got an experienced quarterback, we got good backs, we got good linemen. We run for 238 yards and we pass for 242 yards this year. So that's balance. And we work at balance, and we work at trying to make it the proper balance to fit our personnel. But we're able to throw the football every time, but what's the one common denominator there? Run for over 200 yards each of those years. It goes back to what I was telling you about being physical. So people think of us as you spread the field. Coach, why do you spread the field? If you say you want to run the ball, we spread the field because we do want to run the football. We do gain that advantage. And I'll get into some more ways later. I've got a good run game tape, and I'll be glad to show you a lot of that on tape tomorrow. The next thing we do is that we do a lot of things. How do you do a lot of things? That's always bothers the coach when he comes into our system. We teach everything in groups, type of plays. We've got plays on offense that we call the sit and go. That's sprint draw type plays. In other words, draws of all the linemen are sitting and then taking somebody's man blocking. We have a group of plays that we call block down and block around. Those are power plays. Okay? And we group, they learn all those different ways and things. And we have a trap series. And I'm going to get into some of these here in a minute. But that's just some examples of what I mean by grouping plays. We've got zone plays that everybody in America runs. We have man blocking, zone blocking. But they pride themselves by doing it. I mean, really and truly, coaches that come in there and the players, they get shocked. We have a board that's about as big as that chalkboard there, that's just loaded with offense. We've got about 12 different personnel we put them in. And we carry about 20 different formations and all these things that people say, we can't use that. We can't. It's a system. And the way it's taught, you can use it. And it's grouped and they understand it. And the young quarterbacks come in, they pick it up just like that. You know, I mean, it's just how you approach it, teaching it. Utilize all phases of offensive football. We don't limit ourselves. 4 line coaches at Tennessee. We got a great one now, Steve Marshall. I mean, his first year he comes in and Philip has been the line coach before. So you got the toughest job out there. You're taking over the head coach's position. The head coach, boy, Steve does a great job. But we teach our linemen so many things, and we drop back and throw, and we don't limit ourselves. I hear these people say, because we throw, we don't run the 5 running plays. Well, that's not us. I'm going to give you some examples. Run game, quick hitting. Example, fullback trap. We run the trap in more different ways, more different looks. Everything we can run it out of, we'll run it. We still like the trap. And we use a bunch of different schemes on the trap. That's the major one right there when we get an even front or we get any guard cover. Defense, which nowadays, how many of you guys get true 50 defense when you play against them? Still get some of it out here? We don't see hardly any. Our kids don't know what 50 cover 3 is. Scared them to death when they see that on defense. They think, God, coach, what have they gotten into? And but we see so many guard cover defenses that it gives us a chance to everybody play an attack defense. It's time to go back to the trap. I guarantee the defensive line coaches, when they come to this clinic or the other clinic, they're not sitting and reading much anymore. They're going. But that's our base fullback trap right there. We use a midline action with our quarterback where this is the center. What we're doing, we're getting off the midline with the opposite foot, and we give the fullback the midline with it's one back or eye, and we give him the football, and he runs right up that center's tail on the thumb. And they get all cuts off that. So that's a midline action play. We have a number of other midline action plays that groups that for the backs and the quarterbacks and work. The slow hitting, set and go. Talking about an example. Our base sprint draw, there it is against 50 defense. You see it drawn there against 6 people because that's all we're going to see in there, 6, because we're going to keep the field spread out. And what we're doing right there is 3 people that are covered. The backside tackle, and we'll get into a lot of that specifically later on, but the backside tackle is probably the most important block out there. And we go hard to come off the football, get into the drive block, and then turn to a high wall position. And that's something that sounds simple, but we have to work hard on our guys. Our guards are doing read steps. They're coming off, and both of them, they're going 1, 2, 3, and then they're reading the block on the center, okay, or on the tackle, and they're either straight back up on their linebacker or rocking around. And I got them both rocking around right there. If that tackle would play outside or straight up, that guard would climb straight up on the linebacker. And any 50 defense, any guard uncovered, the fullback's blocking the end. There. We're driving the ball deep. Our tailback is 7.5 yards deep. Our fullback puts his hands at 4, which is deep. Sometimes we shout him up in the long play, which is somewhat deep, some people. Power run game. Oh, wow, that's part of that wrong.
How deep is the handoff and stuff like that?
We get this thing back about 4.5 yards. And, sometimes it may get a little bit deeper. But this is a universal play that everybody runs. We'll run it. We'll run the counter different ways, same type of blocking scheme. But all of that's grouped into power football, and they learn it that way and understand it that way. And, like I said, I've got some tapes on some of these particular runs that I think interest you guys. We think it's worth it to keep an option. Just something simple. And to me, this little belly G option right here, it's almost a quarterback sweep, is about as good as anything going right now. Certain situations, and I'll be glad to go back through this thing if I need to, but I'm kind of just giving you some general on this right now. This look, I don't care whether it's, I'm going to write on my building, if it's guard covered, we're still doing the same basic thing. Guard covered, tackles down, the guard's pulling. If that tight end were to play the 7 technique into him, the guard still just wrap around. That fullback and quarterback aren't measured much. Fullback, quarterback are, it just rolls out like our belly dive, and then he just never stops. And fullback is actually what we had, he teach fullback is crossover, flash the pockets, and then get to the corner. We get that thing still off, and who you're actually optioning is a strong safety or somebody outside. And I'm going to tell you guys, when you run off tackle and you start getting people that squeeze, you know, everybody wrong arms that guy now, you know, try to spill it to the linebacker, try to play him hard. When he plays hard, let block down, and you get him wall, the linebacker's dead. That fullback has an easy time getting around there. We let our fullback cut. When the fullback cuts that linebacker, there's nobody there but the safety. And I'm telling you, defensive people hate it. It's some Colorado thing a few years ago with little Darian Hayden. That's what they made our defense miserable with it. Our passing game is based out of drop back, 3-step, 5-step. I've got written down there on time. You know, you can time tape. And we try to throw a lot of our 5-step game at 2-1 and 2-2. And again, last 5 years, guys, we've led the SEC in the fewest number of sacks. We have 11 sacks this year. He, actually, the starting quarterback, only gave up 6 sacks. Oh, when the game was out of control. And we gave up 11 sacks as a team. 6 for the first unit this year. And it's attributed to good offensive line play that's throwing it on time. And I won't get into the passing game in detail there. But we think you can have a 3-step, 5-step, and they're really simple, and I'm going to get into that in some of these other lectures. Then we also define these two things a little differently than some other people. Run action. Okay, what's run action? That's the same thing as play action? No, it's not. This is an example of a run action. We have different ones. But what run action means is block the run. We call them certain names. We say, when we say this certain name, it's just, you know, you can say fire or you can say anything. They know that means run action. That means that the play caller is taking a chance for a sack. There's no pass protection. We don't come back in and pass pro. We block the run. We teach fake a certain way. All right? I'm going to do that in another lecture also, but to show you the fakes. But protection is on the play caller. These are to take shots. When they hear this run action call, they know we're going to go downtown with the ball. We may have, if we're in one side, we may have a crossing route underneath, and just simply read the safety around the post. Safety playing deep over the top, we'll hit the crossing route in there, because I promise you, the linebackers will be disrupted. But you can't hold the ball. You have a great fake. When you come out of the fake, you throw the football. It's that simple. If you hold the ball, you're going to be sacked. But it's different. Play action is a run fake. We try to do a great job of faking, but it's well protected. It's versatile. It has answers. The universal route, what I drew right there. We run that a lot. But there's answers. He's got progression, the quarterback. He's got layoffs. He's got decision making. It's a pass. It's a protected pass with a play fake. So it's play action. It's different. We expect it to be good. And as I said, I'll get into some of these plays later on. I know some of you drawing and doing it, and I hate to keep flipping these things on you. That makes me mad. But I'm somewhere somebody's doing that to me. also think it's important to move the pocket. And this has been a great one for us. Move the pocket. Big sprint, play baits, drop roll, waggles, boots, all different types of things. This is one of ours that we run a ton of, and we run this route about a million different ways. But I think it's critical that you went out and quarterback. We had, before the last quarterback, before Shooter, we had a quarterback that ran 5 flat, 5-1. But we moved the pocket, and man, he got on, he was effective outside. And it was effective for us. And we used it not just in first and second down, we had some third down moving pocket situations. So you get into all those problems that the defense has when you move the quarterback. Make them work on it and make them effective. We do that. Now, this is one thing I've saved to the end. This is us. Remember I talked about having a chart on using the field? Perimeter. Perimeter is a word we use, okay, for all types. Screens, options, specials, quick games, quick throws, this and that. And we have a special emphasis in practice. We'll have our practice going, and we'll have fourth period. We're on 10 minutes a second. Fourth period. All of a sudden we see perimeter on the schedule. That is a team period. We normally have a team period at the end. So all of a sudden they holler perimeter. We come up as a team. We do a great job of coaching the defense during that time. We make the position coaches are all over there. I'm about the only one standing over there coaching the defense to react. But one of the hardest things to do is to get the defense to give you a reaction. Example. We're going to run a screen. Okay. Now, this is the team period. The most important people to coach on that play, there, and have it scripted what you want them to do. Because the reason we can't execute a screen in a game, because it's never been done quite like that in practice, because the speed of the defense is so different. The reaction of the defense is so different. So that offensive line coach is over here, and that running back coach is over here, coaching those defensive guys, when they want them moving, the angles they want them going, what they want them doing, where it looks like it. And now we get a hat on them in a game, and you call that screen at a time, and it becomes a huge play. And then we get into a situation, we're talking about perimeter. All of a sudden, we're coming out here, we're play faking away, we're throwing a quick screen out here to him. Well, same thing, reaction to the defense, but all of a sudden we've utilized that area of the field that doesn't get utilized much. And we've dictated we're going to do it. We don't have to read anything. We're getting the ball there right now. And that's what I mean by taking the field, and everywhere on the field is an area, and keeping up with those areas where you're getting the ball. And I'm going to tell you something, defensive people pay attention to it. When you start getting the ball in every one of those areas and you're utilizing out of formation, the field, but hey, they got to defend the field. That's what I'm talking about, 2-on-2. They won't play us 2-on-2 out there. I'll give you an example. People want to get out there and play us 2-on-2. Draw that seven. We've got those splits, that proper separation. And we've been running the ball, so now they come in here and bring this guy in here, and they've got 2 of them out there. And we run fake right there. Slam. And then tackle him. I mean, we dictate that. And we go right down to that, and boom. They're in trouble. Those are big plays. they're gonna give up 80, they're gonna give up 70 all of a sudden. They're gonna give up, and when we see those situations, we're gonna take advantage of it in every way we can. When that free safety's not in a position to roll over the top of this, and I know that's 2-on-2, we're gonna make them absolutely miserable. I don't care, however it is. But utilize the field, the perimeter game, and make an emphasis with it with your players that this is what we're doing. We are utilizing the field. We are doing my sheet. Nothing much on it. Specials of all kinds. They aren't jump specials. I mean, things for using reverses and different things. When you start using that field, you give defensive people a big problem. We use some students in our health, physical education, recreation program that can come over there and do some assignment work for us. Guys that want to be coaches, and they're majoring in physical education. So I've got a professor over there, and I say, Buck, send me some guys over there who want to learn something about football, and I'll give them some assignments and help them. And then what happens is they go on and coach somewhere in Tennessee, and now they've got a special tie to us, and we go in there and recruit. Or they go to Georgia and coach, or wherever we go in there and recruit, we're going to get that player. They're going to help us in recruiting. Anyway, I had a group of them last year study the number of missed tackles between the hashes and outside the hashes. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal how many times people miss tackles in open field. You get the ball outside the hashes, guys, you're going to break tackles. You get in a situation where people got to make plays. There is no 2-3, there's no leverage. You make a defense lose their leverage, they're going to miss tackles. And in yards after that was phenomenal what we accomplished through that perimeter game. And I think that's part of what helps you score points. General overview. Present problems to the defense, be diversified. I think I talked about that enough that, I don't want the defense to dictate to me what we can do. Everybody perceives us as a big check team. We're an either-or team sometimes, but oftentimes we are going to be able to predict and put the defense in a predictable situation that we don't have to do anything, just call it and run it. And I don't like the defense to dictate to me where we can go with the football. I'm going to present them with a problem and take advantage of it, hopefully. I don't want to be a play behind. So therefore, we give the quarterback some freedom in some of those situations where he sees 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or whatever the situation may arise, and he'll get us to something and take advantage of it. But be diversified. Self-finesse and be physical. See, I think, my background was wishbone. And our finesse offense was splitting Ozzie Newsome out wide and running the 1-on-1 route. That was our finesse. But we had to be so dominant physically, and it got to be such a frustrating thing. If Ozzie did make the plays, if you couldn't recruit a great wide receiver to run those 1-on-1 routes, people could put 9 and 10 folks in there on you, and it made it hard. And you go through 3 quarterbacks in a season, and you go through all these skilled players getting hurt. It's easy for the linemen, they just digging their hand down in the ground, and they're going. But to me, through my evolution of football and staying involved with offensive football from that time on, was it became easier to be physical when we had less people to be physical with. We could become a dominant team, blocking 6, where sometimes blocking 8 and 9 is hard. One of the best things right now Alabama does to you, if you got 6, they're going to try to have 7. If you got 7, they're going to try to have 8. If you got 8, they're going to try to have 9. People in pro football do the same thing. Watch the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to get the secondary involved somewhere. It's not the guy that you're blocking making the play, it's the free guy. So it becomes a battle that, to me, you got to spread the field. And when the Bills did it in the first half, they stayed patient. They had a chance against the Cowboys. Then all of a sudden they lost their patience when they got a little bit behind. and they start turning the ball over, and they start going into the teeth of that defense, and they get brutalized. So you have to self-finesse. To me, sometimes to enable you to be physical. And you have to be patient in doing that, taking what the defense gives you, and to enable you to come back to being physical. And I tell you something, I talk to our offensive line more about that than anything else, and it's constant for me, because it happens to us and anybody else. If they don't understand what I'm doing, they always think the quarterback coach and the prima donnas and, we want to throw the ball and all this stuff. And I may start a game off doing a lot of things. And we got a lot of things going on, and they're wanting to, boy, those guys are the same way. Get a little tight on game day, I can hear them coming off. They're telling the line coach, I make you sit by me upstairs. They're telling him, just run the ball. We can knock their ass off. I want to knock their ass off. They're all the same. I mean, they get eased up. They're wanting to come off and get physical. But I want them to understand why we're doing what we're doing to enable us now, when it's the right time, then the physical dominance takes over. So I think it's important to have your team understand. You can be versatile, yet low risk. Hey, I'll tell you what, that option I showed you, the quarterback has pitched that thing one time this past year, and I think once before. One was for a touchdown, one was for a fumble. But we're not going to have a high-risk offense. Our passing game is not high risk. We're not going to turn the ball over very often. We had too many this year. We had an unusual number of games that were blowouts, and we had some turnovers. I think we ended up with 8 interceptions, and I think 9 or 10 fumbles. And for the 12 games, which is too many for us. We've been averaging about 5 turnovers for 12 games for the last 3 years. So that gives us, that gives us a chance to win every game. Versatile yet low risk. Mistake-free. Perfect practice makes perfect. I like that saying. But I think that you also, at the same time, it's important to remember, striving for perfection, trying to be perfect is frustrating. Striving for excellence, you can always stay hungry and keep doing. I don't know of anybody yet I've met that's perfect. You can strive for excellence, always strive for excellence. Character plays into that. And what character, what character is? It's whatever you can muster, whatever you can call on and command in the center of a crisis. That's what your character is. Character is something that you can build and work on, and I think that's important in putting together an offensive team. We have had numerous years where when we go and study ourselves, we find out some of these things pay dividends. Some did maybe do a good job on this in previous years, did. And I'm going to give you this just because I don't have all of this complete. I've been doing too much traveling. Stats are for losers, but learning from statistics are not. Okay? We don't relish in statistics. And I'm going to tell you what we talk about to our players. Maybe you use it, maybe you don't, maybe you do more than this, maybe you do the same. But we take typical rushing stats. And the first thing you see is totals. And you can see most frequently run play we had was run 47 times. The next 30, the next 21, the next 20, the next 19. That's what it's talking about, versatility. And that's how many run plays we have on that page. That's the totals continued. And I'm probably not very proud of that. That still runs for the year. So you can see how much we do. Yet, what we did in rushing, and that's the total. These are the SEC. Final team statistics, rushing offense. Tennessee, 442 carries, 2,621 yards, a 5.93 yard average. That includes sacks and everything. 27 rushing TDs, 238.27 yards per game. So we've done something right. The next best was Auburn. They averaged 4.7 yards per rush. We averaged 5.9 yards per rush. We make an issue of that with ourselves. Why? And we study and we go look what we did well. A run we thought might have done pretty well that we called a lot didn't do so well. In this particular year, that's not true. Average were 6.9, 8, 6.0, 5.0, 6.4, 8.3 of all the runs we ran, a whole lot. But you get into this, then we do it per game. You have annual opponents, people you play every year. All right, we take, we even have options, weak runs, tight end runs, try to see on our formations. Goal line is separated, then it's by game. Louisiana Tech, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, right on through. Now we know what we're doing against an opponent. And I think it's worth the time to do it, and take the time to do it. And me and one other coach on our staff do all of this. Then we take the time to study the thing on film that we've already done. And these are our comments. And we're going into spring practice, we're studying this, why we did something well, what are our new ideas, what are we going to do. That's effective work. That's not a waste of time. We're accomplishing something. We're getting better. We're taking the time to get better. If you're not willing to take the time, you may not get better. You may get lucky, but you got to be willing to take the time. The other guys on staff, they get tired of all this sometimes, but it pays dividends and make sure we're going to see all the comments right there. It's all 7-man, 8-man zone games and all this stuff. And then we do the same thing in the past. Totals, all that is done per game. Same way right on through. All right. Statistics is extremely important to our offensive line, to me, to our whole offense. Something I talk to them about every week. This is the next study. It's called first down production. First down production. That's the most important down in football. We do everything we do by package. First down package, second down package, by down and distance, third down package. Our whole offense is dreamed of, thought of, defined that way. So here's the total for the year. First down production. This is when you know you're going to be good. Running pass combined. We had 377 tries on first down. We averaged 7.4 yards a game in first down in 1993. Well, each week, those linemen, they're the ones that love that. And like that, you don't know when you're playing good in that first down production. Study your first down production. Tell them after the game, hey, we average 5.5 yards. Have a goal. Our goal is 5 yards to play on first down. But have a goal. And well, that becomes something. They remember that when they're playing the game now, I'm going to tell you. First down production. And when you start doing that on first down, you start averaging 5 yards to play, you're going to score some points, guys. You're going to score some points. 6.8 yard average on the run, and 8.2 yard average on the pass. I mean, I love it. And that's not been just this year. In 1992, it's 5.9 yards. In 1991, it's 5.6 yards. This is as far back as I've got it. Then it's done by game. Again, we can study each opponent. I guarantee you, look at Alabama, it won't be as good. It wasn't bad, 6.2 yards. That one tougher. In Florida, 5.4 yards.
What's your run pass ratio in first down?
We're about 50-50, almost right to a T.
Or play action passes?
I'll drop back too. I'll get into it. Well, I'll just tell you now why. Here's what first down passes to me. You have the place for that run action, but what we train the quarterbacks to believe that on first down there is a completion out there. Our pass percentage on first down this year was 83%. 83% completion on first down. Because somewhere out there, there is a completion. We're not pressed for yards. So I'm going to lay the ball off. Somebody's open on first down. So we designed our first down package to put everything in his vision and to put a receiver there that if it's not here, it's certainly there. But somewhere out there is completion. Don't be coming over and telling me, I thought I could get in here. It better be complete if you throw it on first down. It better be complete. We had a stretch in the middle of the season where we really got to playing good. We were 12 of 13, 10 of 10, and 11 of 12, 3 games in a row on first down passes. When you do that, you're going to score. It was 55 points, 58 points, and 62 points. You know, you just start, I mean, you're not going to be stopped. And we make an issue of that. On Monday, I'm up there, that's the first thing I make an issue of with the offense is first down production. That's really important to us. Another thing that's important to Tennessee football on offense right off the get-go is third down conversions. 5 years in a row leading the SEC. We break it down this way. Third 1 to 2, third and 3 to 6, third and 7 to 9, third and 10 plus. Third and 10 plus is shocking. Better stay out of it. It's scary when you study it. Third and 10 plus, this year, we led the SEC, our total was 47%, which is really high. We've been as high as 50%, but 47% led the SEC. But on third and 10 plus, 22% success. We had 41 times we were in third and 10 plus, we made 9 of them. That makes it even harder. As good as we were, you get in third and 10, guys, that first down production I'm talking about, you get third and 10, you might as well hang it up. You're not going to be successful. Third and 7 to 9, we were 35%, 12 of 34. That's pretty good for that distance, 7 to 9. If you can average 32 to 36%, and that's normal or higher, obviously, and we feel like we're doing pretty good. Third and 3 to 6, we were pleased, 53%. It's about 45% or better with a lot of people, third and 3 to 6. If they're all third and 3s, we want it to be higher. Third 1 to 2, we want that to be 100%. We were 30 tries, we had 26 conversions at 87%. That's not perfect, but that's striving for excellence. But that's a study. Let's see. Here's one. Third down in 1992 when that quarterback was a sophomore. We had 45 third and 10. We converted 7 of them, 61%. Again, now we're a big-time team. We were 39% on third and 7 and 9, though. That's strong. 49% on third and 3 to 6, and only 78%. We led the SEC with 45% in 1992. In 1991, we led the SEC at 49%. Where we were phenomenal was third and 10 plus, we were at 30%. 10 of 30. 90 we led the SEC in 43%. You just never know. Then we do it by game again. Find out now who's got a really good third down package. We didn't convert any third and 10 pluses against Georgia. 0 for 5 against Florida. 0 for 8 against Florida, third and 7 plus. 0 for 8 against Florida. We scored 34 points in that game. So we were 0 for 8. I better go back and look at the Florida film and see what they did. You know, tells you right there. We're going to study what Florida did to stop us because somebody else is going to study what Florida did to stop us. So these stats are not, these aren't for losers, these are for learning. You know, that's why we do this book. And I don't give this book to somebody else to do it, I do it myself. Fourth down's the same way. We call, and I got a whole lecture on this, so I'm not going to get into this, it'll be Sunday. Going in to us is orange. We do a detailed study of orange area. And I think we're as good as there is in football. I think I probably got that stuff back from the hotel. Dick Vermeil is phenomenal. You guys have been exposed to Dick Vermeil. I talk to Dick Vermeil a lot. And he loves to study our offense. Our offense, and he is a stat. He's an unbelievable. I told him, I said, I would never work with you. He'd make you miserable. So I can see why he's what he is. His mind never stops. I mean, he's phenomenal. But he breaks down more statistics and things. And I'll give you all some of those that he does. It's interesting studies, though, all these ratios he comes up with. But when you go through this thing, you can see we were inside the 20-yard line 62 times last year. We had 51 scores, 41 touchdowns, and 10 field goals. And what you see, we did poorly. In 1993, we were a good football team, a team that went 9-1-1. We had 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions. 6 of those 10 failures, or 11 failures, were turnovers. That kills you. That's critical mistakes. Now we had some that came down and we just ran the ball out at the end of the game. That doesn't bother me. And then we had 1 missed field goal for the whole year inside there. But we were last year, which was like 92. We were in there 49 times. We had 44 scores. That's what I'd like. But that's always been, and we keep it right through. I think I keep 4 years. I asked the secretary to go back 4 years and put 4 years worth in mine, where I can see what's comparison. Goal line. I got a good goal line lecture. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but it's not on one of those topics. We got an interesting on goal line philosophy and goal line offense. We've been unbelievable on the goal line. Chances this year was 16. We had 13 touchdowns. What that means is if the ball went inside the 4-yard line, even if it was 4th and 4, it counted as a chance. Anytime the ball goes inside the 4-yard line, that creates a chance. So 16 times within the 4-yard line of butter, 13 TDs, 1 field goal. We had 2 lost fumbles down there. 9 TDs rushing and 4 TDs passing. So like we were 18 and 19 touchdowns, 1 field goal. So we were 19 and 19 in 92. We were 17 and 17 in 91 on the goal line inside the 4. And in 1990, we were 19 and 21. That's pretty stout. We got a nice philosophy down there and a nice little package. Nobody here from UCLA, right? We open up in the Rose Bowl against them. Scoring drives, that's not one I love. I do comparative studies. Here's some Mill stats. Let me just tell you this offense this year. First in the SEC in total offense, first in the SEC in rushing offense, first in the SEC in turnover ratio, first in the SEC in third down conversion, first in the SEC in scoring offense. We scored more points than any team in the history of the Southeastern Conference this year. We averaged 43 points a game this year. With our schedule at target. We scored a touchdown every 12.2 plays. That's one stat Vermeil called back to me. Every 12 plays we scored a touchdown. We scored a touchdown every 10 passes we threw. We scored 1.5 points per minute this season. These are things he comes up with. Scored a touchdown every 85.2 yards of offense. And a lot of TV production. Completed 65% of our passes. We only ran 69 plays a game this year, which is a low number. In this study, there's an example. That's the formations that we ran offensively this year. Majors. I mean, that's not even, that'd be upfield formation, no goal line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different ones. And a lot of those are different personnel. And we have to study a lot too. The most viewed formation we have is 18% of the time. That's what I mean by diversity. That's why I'm showing you these things. You know, it's not done by chance. And I have this fed back to me every week on a cell scout. The next one is 15% of the time, the next one 11. With snaps, 148 snaps, 129, 96, 76, 60, 48, 41, 41, 33, 30, 22, 20, 18. So that's a lot of diversity. That's a lot of problems to the defense when they go to do it. And then we come up with most frequently run plays out of each formation, or frequently run passes, total passes like. And one that our leading formation, we had 79 runs, 69 passes. That's pretty good balance. 53 to 47%. 57% run, 43% pass out of the next one. 53% run, 47% pass out of the next one. Here's one to tell you, 21% run, 79% passes. That's obviously a third down type deal. So, anyway, I thought that would be interesting just to talk about from the standpoint of what we gain, what we get out of those things. I don't think it's time to start another lecture. Let me just say this. I'm going to get into quarterback. We'll start with ball handling. And like I said, the most important thing to me is that you get what you came for, whatever that is, and that I can help you. And I'm going to start the next session with quarterback, ball handling, center, quarterback exchange, everything about dealing with this football that a quarterback does. I think tonight, ball handling, faking, and then get into watching some tape, some of these things. And then tomorrow, you guys get a schedule. What does it say for me tomorrow? I'll get into all of those things, but I'm going to spend a lot of time with throwing drills, with the training of our quarterback, developing our quarterback. I've got a good lecture on, and I assume you guys, a lot of you, not all of you, a lot of you are around all weekend. I've got a good thing on how to install our block on installing the pass offense, the drills we use, and the approach we take. I've got a lot on 2-minute offense I brought with me. Bad quarterback. I got a lot on drop development, footwork, and drops. I'm just giving you an overview for the weekend. I've got quite a bit of stuff on going in offense. And then I've got, like I said, some run game stuff, just how we're talking about mismatching and zone schemes and man schemes and different things. Does that sound like what you all are wanting to get? And tell me, please, right now, what I can get in my mind, is there something that I haven't mentioned right now that you want out of the weekend that I can help provide and share some ideas with? Is anybody, did I leave out a specific thing that you thought, yeah, I want to hear about?
Three-step drop.
Yeah, I'm going to have that, the game itself or just the drop? Talking about the whole.
Just the drop, the quarterback mechanics and read.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good detailed section in there, and drop development and passing game installation on three-step drop. I'll be glad to do that, yes, sir.
Pre-snap reads and progression, high to low, low to high.
Okay, I'll give you a quick answer to that, and then I'll get into that later on. I won't get into every little thing we do, because that's a dangerous thing to start getting into too much talking about, and just bear with me on that. But I can tell you this simply to begin with, because I had a little time on there. One of the things that we'll do is that we identify for the quarterback whether he is in what we call a key progression or a coverage progression. Okay? And I think it's really important for them to understand what you mean by that. And let me just draw an example of either one. I don't ever know which side to draw one. A key progression may be solely based off not caring what anybody else does, or what, say, those two linebackers do. Okay? Example. Pre-snap, I may look around, I may do the safeties, I may do this, but I don't care what anybody else in coverage does. Okay? Don't have any care. All right? Just give you an example of a simple route. Okay. Based off their drop, all right, if I get a zone drop that's soft, I'm going to come underneath, do a little underneath right now. I mean, it sounds too simple, but key progression is simple. It's what you have them in for. Okay? If I get flat movement by the linebackers, going nowhere, ends up being a man-to-man type look. That's what that ends up doing. He's kind of reading the man-to-man. He's staying on the move. Again, go right there. If So I get both of them sitting, okay, just sitting in there, not really getting out of there. Then I'm going to isolate one key. My attention's going to go right there. Now, obviously, all I've done is isolate the flat fender from the curl and the flare. And that's an example of key progression. Okay? And we have things that simple. And we'll tell you something. Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy right there with that play. Run about 100 different ways. That play. That's their number one play. More than anything else. What I just drew you, and that's what they're telling me. That's easy work. Now, example of coverage progression. Probably need to do these papers. Bill's got plenty of papers in.
I can get you some more if you need some.
Transparencies. I don't want to do all that. Okay. Now we're reading through the goalpost as we drop and pre-snap, trying to get a pre-snap reading. Well, I use the term contour. You know, you got a contour map. So the secondary gives you a contour. If you're studying up down with the quarterback, you'll recognize, and we study a lot of end zone film. And we shoot some end zone wides and things, trying to get some of that at the opponents. And we'll see a contour and we'll know pre-snap where what most guys are. Very few people disguise that well. But coverage progression, okay? And this coverage right here, it ends up being a roll corner 2 deep. Same call. There's his first progression, okay, through the middle of the field. Obviously that entails a linebacker. He has to feel, but he's reading coverage. He reads roll corner, he's going through the middle of the field. If he feels everything's sinking, after looking at this actually becomes number 2. If he feels this backer drive, feels a vacated area over here, he'll come back. And come back off of this side, so this could actually equal number 2. In rare instances, roll corner over there, do that. Now, same play call. He's having a key to coverage, so is receiver. Same play call, corner's off. Depending on where the ball is, he's going to pick a side of the field. Now, he becomes 1, he becomes 2, he becomes 3, or he becomes 1, he becomes 2. All right, now, you're isolating the defender. This defender's off that first decision. He's going to throw that out unless that guy's out underneath that out. If he's out underneath that out, he's going to throw this unless another backer has driven to that. They've driven hard to those 2 things, he's going to lay the ball off right there. That's just an example of our teaching. Okay. And that's the 2 areas that you teach, or, in my opinion, see the key progression or your coverage progression, reading coverage. And what we will do is we'll go into games and we may identify a safety from game to game. It takes us pre-snap and post-snap, what we think the coverage is. We may see a tip off of a corner. So we change, so therefore I don't let them learn and play and say on this play, this is who you have to read everything for a coverage read, okay? Now, like I said, if it's key, then we don't care. We're going to get the reaction of the defense. I don't care where the rest of them are. I don't care what the secondary does. Let's have the possibility of blitz. Well, why don't we break up and get this machine and I'll throw the break, and then we'll be back in about 20 minutes, right? And that's what the